Okay, you look lovely. Our friend Mona had reached out and asked me if I would interview you for the Northfield Bank's Black History Month note. And she thought it was important to interview you and get you to be a part of their Black History Month celebration because of the work you've done on Staten Island. And if you could just tell me your name.
My name is Sylvia Moody, D'Alessandro.
And tell us a little bit about your upbringing, where you were born, and what inspired you on your journey.
Well, I was born at Richmond Memorial Hospital on the South Shore of Staten Island, and to a family of 5 children. My mother and father, May and Charles Moody, were my parents, and I was the last of 5 children. So, and in that sense, I was special because I was the last one that was born and the one that everybody kind of sort of looked at.
Tell me about your childhood and growing up.
Well, I grew up in Sandy Ground, which is on the South Shore of Staten Island, in a African-American community, which was good because you were special. And I went to public school 3 and Tottenville High School and Bureau College. It was a good place to grow up in because we were in an African-American community. There was a church there that provided religious background that you needed, and all of the people around you knew who you were, where you came from, who your parents were, and what you were doing within the community and within Staten Island in general.
So your years in school.
My years in school. Well, you know, I learned easily, and so I was always able to be a part of the head of whatever class that I happened to be in, and was always treated very specially while in school.
My understanding is you had received a full scholarship to Howard University.
Yes, I did. And that was a good experience for me. And in school in general, I was always sort of kind of at the head of my class.
What was it about Sandy Ground and growing up and living in Sandy Ground? What did you see? What did you do?
Well, living in Sandy Ground was very special. It's an African-American community, and all of the people around me either were relatives or other people in the community who knew who I was. And so in that sense, To me, I was special, and to them, I was special.
Okay. What inspired you to do the things that you did in your life? Like, even your focus, let's talk about your focus on sandy ground in Staten Island. What inspired you later on to sort of
To
be...
tell stories of things
Yes,
now?
yes.
Well, I grew up there, and I was given all of the encouragement that I needed to be a full person and to tell the story. And having grown up in that community, in that African American community, it gave me enough confidence in myself and in what was going on within the community to be able to tell the story to other people.
What did you see? What was life like in Sandy Ground? What kind of work did people do? What to you made Sandy Ground, growing up in Sandy Ground, special? Something that you felt was important to share the history of the lives of the people who lived in Sandy Ground?
Well, first of all, I was part of a family, okay? There were 5 of us, and my mother and father. And my mother and father were connected to the people who lived next door, which was my aunt and uncle. And down the street was another aunt and uncle living, so that you were part of a whole community that did things to make Staten Island a special place.
Okay. Tell me about a defining moment or an accomplishment of yours that you are especially proud of.
Well, first of all, I learn very easily, and having had that in me, I was always very at the top of whatever class in school, and we went to PS3 in Pleasant Plains, and I was always a part of the top of the class and was able to give back to the community and to learn very quickly.
Where did you get your compassion and your desire to help others? Because you've done a lot of that in many different ways, on many different levels.
Well, first of all, I was the last of 5 children, and so I was always very special to my sisters who put everything into me, sort of, and important in the community because there was a church there that gave you the religious faith that you needed in order to be able to do things and to do things right. And the people that lived around us were like us, and so they taught us the right things to do. And I think that's very important, you know, that children get the right direction. And part of that direction came from the church and from the community that was around me.
Mm-hmm. And from your family?
Well, from the family, absolutely. That was part of what made the community what it was, okay? Sandy Ground, where I grew up and where I got the direction on how to live, how to respect people, how to learn. That all came from being a part of that Sandy Ground community.
What is a defining moment for you? What was a defining moment in your life? What was an accomplishment that you're really proud of and that you find that helped to set the direction?
Well, I was a member a member of Sandy Ground, and that Sandy Ground was special. It was special for me, and it was special for the other people that were around me, and that made me feel special in terms of what it was that I gave to the community, what it was that the community gave to me, and what it was that I got from my family.
Okay. What were some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, first of all, we were an African-American community, and we were living in the middle of a white community that was around us. So we had to have our own faith in ourselves and what it was that we wanted to do. We had to have that inside of us in order to be able to give things back to other people.
Okay. What does Black history mean to you?
Well, first of all, I'm African American, and so I have to know that first, okay? And that was given to me through the community that I lived in. It was an African American community, and it gave back to its children that which they needed to know in order to be important in this world.
So how do you think the Sandy Ground story fits into American history about a Black community? How did the Sandy Ground community dispel myths about Black people? What did you see?
Well, first of all, it was a community of African Americans, and it was a community of African Americans who were living a very good life, okay? Home ownership, supporting the children, respect for the elderly, a response to your mother and your father, all the things that were needed to make you a person who could give back to the community in general.
Was there a sense of pride in... Where did you get your sense of pride?
My sense of pride came from number one, what happens in our households, and number one. Number two, what happened in our community, and number three, what happened in general, the general community around us and the people around us. And the sense of who I was, part of that came from what I learned in school. What I did in school became a part of also of what it was, who I was, and who my family was, and who the community was, and then, in general, how people were.
What was the golden rule in Sandy Ground?
Well, first of all, you respected your mother and your father, number one. Number two, the community was a productive community in that people, that families, they all worked, they all went to church, they all respected people, and all of that was given back to the children who then, as they grew up, they learned that and gave that back to their children.
How was education viewed? How was
Well,
the importance?
we were a black community, and we went to the schools in the area. And when we went to the schools in the area, they were primarily white schools. But because they had to teach their own kids, we also learned, along with the other children, on what it was that was important, what it was that needed to be given back to other people, what it was to how to treat other people, how to be respectful of other people. And we learned that in that white school that we went to, coming out from Sandy Ground.
Okay. How can today, when you look at communities today, how can communities today come together to uplift Black voices?
Well, there's a couple of things that are going on right now. A lot of the communities are a mix, and so you really have to learn to respect people, who they are, okay, and what it is that they are giving out to the community in general, so that the children learn how to be respectful of one another, to explain things to one another, to be good parents, to teach them how to be good people and learn how to give back to others.
Would you say the golden rule, as I remember it, growing up in Sandy Ground, was you do unto others as you would have them do unto you?
That, in fact, is true, and that's something that you learn in church. That's something that you learn when you how to treat other people, how to treat people that are different from you, how to treat people who are the same as you.
Okay. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
To respect others, to always respect others, always do what you, as a Christian person, would do for others, to support others. That's what you have to kind of keep in your mind, because that always keeps you in the right road to follow in terms of who you are, what you are, and where you're going.
What does family mean to you?
Well, family has always been an important part of who it is that I am. Remember, I was the last of 5 children, and in doing that, I was always surprised of all of my sisters who were willing to tell me what I didn't pick up. They would give it to me and share it with me, and they always looked up to me as somebody special because I was their baby sister.
Oh. Okay. So if you had one piece of advice that you could give your younger self, what would that piece of advice be?
And that is always to maintain a level of respect for people. Because as you treat other people, as you treat strangers, that all goes together with what makes you a better person.
How would you like to be remembered? And what impact would you like to have had on
Other
different
people?
communities? Yes, and other people.
Well, you know, one thing that stays in my mind is the work that I've done with Sandy Ground, the work that I've done on my job in terms of leading people, the work that I've given to my daughter to teach her how to be a better person, and just in general how I respect other people like I expect them to respect me.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just that, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and I think about the importance of Sandy Ground and what Sandy Ground stands for in terms of the African American community, in terms of what Sandy Ground stands for, in terms of how people look at it and how people respect it and how people know that it was something very, very important in New York, in the country, and the fact that we all worked so hard to make sure that that story was told to others, that's told in the schools now, that's told in the country. And so in doing that is something that makes me feel very comfortable about having been born there, having grown up there, and having respected the people who gave me what I got to give to other people.
All right. Thank you very much. And we'd like to thank Northfield Savings Bank for inviting Sylvia to be a part of your Black History Month celebration. Thank you.